A stranger in a strange land. Zara Chen took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she stepped off the interstellar transport. The air smelled different here, a mix of ozone and something vaguely floral. She clutched her duffel bag tighter, eyes wide as she took in the soaring architecture of the Galactic Academy's main terminal. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors bustled around her. Some floated, others slithered, and a few seemed to phase in and out of existence as they moved. Zara swallowed hard. She'd known this exchange program would be challenging, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of being the only human on an alien world. A holographic sign flickered to life above her head, scrolling through various alien scripts before settling on English. "Welcome, Terran exchange student." Zara squared her shoulders and headed towards the indicated path, her footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. As she walked, she couldn't help but notice the curious glances, and in some cases, outright stares, from the alien students and staff. A group of tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin whispered among themselves, their melodic voices carrying despite their attempts at discretion. "Is that the human? So small. I heard they're from a high-gravity world. Fascinating. Do you think it's true they only have 2 eyes?" Zara felt her cheeks flush, but kept her gaze forward. She'd been briefed on the diversity she'd encounter, but experiencing it firsthand was overwhelming. A squat, reptilian creature scuttled past, leaving a trail of bioluminescent slime in its wake. Zara carefully sidestepped it, only to bump into what appeared to be a sentient cloud of gas. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, mortified. The gas cloud pulsed with soft blue light. A gentle voice emanated from within. "No harm done, young one. Welcome to our academy." Before Zara could respond, a crisp, robotic voice announced her name. "Zara Chen of Earth, please report to Orientation Chamber 17B." Taking another deep breath, Zara made her way to the indicated room. As the door slid open with a soft hiss, she found herself face to face, or rather, face to appendage, with her assigned mentor. The alien before her resembled nothing so much as an upright octopus, its skin shifting through a kaleidoscope of colors as it regarded her with multifaceted eyes. 4 of its tentacles were busy manipulating holographic displays, while another extended towards her in what she assumed was a greeting. "Greetings, Zara Chen of Earth. I am Professor Xylith, your academic advisor for the duration of your stay at the Galactic Academy. It is my pleasure to welcome the first human exchange student to our esteemed institution." Zara hesitantly shook the proffered tentacle, surprised by its warmth and the gentle pressure of the suckers against her skin. "Thank you, Professor. I'm honored to be here." Xylith's skin rippled with shades of blue and green. "The honor is ours. Your species' recent discovery and subsequent application to join the Galactic Confederation has caused quite a stir. Many are eager to learn more about humanity and its potential contributions to our shared knowledge." As the professor spoke, holographic displays sprang to life around them, showcasing the Academy's facilities, course offerings, and a dizzying array of extracurricular activities. Zara's head spun as she tried to take it all in. "Now," Xylith continued, "let's discuss your class schedule. Given your unique physiology, we've had to make some adjustments. For instance, you'll be taking comparative xenobiology, with a focus on human biology, as well as Terran history and culture, to help your fellow students better understand your background." Zara nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. "What about more universal subjects, like mathematics or physics?" Xylith's skin flickered with what Zara interpreted as amusement. "Oh, you'll have plenty of those. In fact, we're particularly interested in seeing how you approach our advanced theoretical physics courses. Human mathematics has some intriguing quirks that have piqued the interest of our faculty." As they continued to discuss her academic path, Zara felt some of her nervousness begin to fade. The alien world around her was still overwhelming, but the familiar territory of learning and discovery gave her a sense of purpose. Their orientation session was interrupted by a commotion in the hallway. The door slid open, revealing two arguing aliens. One appeared to be made entirely of crystal, its faceted body refracting light in dazzling patterns. The other was a mass of writhing tentacles surrounding a central eye, reminding Zara of illustrations she'd seen of eldritch horrors in old Earth literature. Professor Xylith, the crystalline being chimed, its voice reminiscent of tinkling bells. There's been a mix-up with the dormitory assignments. We're not sure where to place the human student. Xylith's skin darkened slightly. I see. Zara, it appears we have a small logistical issue to resolve. Would you mind accompanying us to the housing office? Zara nodded, shouldering her bag once more. As they made their way through the winding corridors of the academy, she couldn't help but marvel at the diversity of life forms around her. Students of all descriptions hurried to and fro, some using anti-gravity devices to float, others propelling themselves through the air on gossamer wings. The housing office was a hive of activity, with holographic displays showing various dormitory layouts and compatibility matrices. A harried-looking alien that resembled a sentient fern was rapidly typing on a console with leaf-like appendages. "Ah, Coordinator Frond," Xylith greeted. "We have a unique situation with our Terran exchange student." From's leaves rustled in what Zara assumed was agitation. Yes, I'm aware. The problem is, we don't have any rooms specifically designed for human physiology. All our standard accommodations are tailored to specific environmental needs: aquatic, low gravity, methane-based atmospheres, and so on. Zara felt a pang of worry. Would this be the end of her interstellar adventure before it even began? I can adapt, she offered hesitantly. Humans are pretty flexible. Her loose skin rippled with interest. Is that so? Perhaps we can use this as an opportunity. Coordinator Frond, what if we place Zara with roommates from different environmental backgrounds? It could provide valuable data on human adaptability and foster greater interspecies understanding. From's leaves perked up. That could work. We have a triple room available in Dormitory Zeta. One occupant is from a high-gravity world, the other from a low-oxygen environment. Would that be acceptable, Zara? Zara nodded eagerly, relieved that a solution had been found. Absolutely. I'm here to learn and experience new things after all. As they made their way to Dormitory Zeta, Zara's mind raced with possibilities. She'd be living with alien roommates, navigating not just cultural differences, but fundamental biological ones. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. The dormitory itself was a marvel of engineering, with sections that seemed to defy the laws of physics as Zara understood them. Gravity shifted subtly as they moved through different areas, accommodating the needs of various species. Finally, they arrived at her assigned room. The door slid open to reveal a space that looked like a cross between a futuristic apartment and a mad scientist's laboratory. One-third of the room was dominated by what appeared to be a small jungle gym made of dense, dark metal. Another section housed a misty, membrane-enclosed area that pulsed with soft bioluminescence. Two figures turned to regard the newcomers. The first was a stocky, reptilian being with thick, armored skin and multiple limbs. It regarded Zara with eyes that glowed like embers. The other was more ethereal, a wispy, translucent form that seemed to float just above the ground, tendrils of mist curling around it. "Zara," Xylith said, "meet your new roommates. This is Grokfar from the heavy world of Nox Prime, and Aether from the gas giant Zephyria. Grokfar, Aether, this is Zara Chen, our exchange student from Earth." Grokfar rumbled a greeting, the sound reverberating in Zara's chest. Aether's voice was barely a whisper, like wind through leaves. "Welcome, Earth being. We look forward to learning from you." As Xylith and the housing staff took their leave, Zara found herself alone with her new alien roommates. She took a deep breath, reminding herself why she'd embarked on this journey in the first place: to explore, to learn, and to represent humanity in this vast, incredible universe. "So," she said, mustering a smile, "who wants to give me the tour?" As Grokthar began explaining the room's various environmental controls and Aether drifted closer in curiosity, Zara felt a spark of excitement. This was just the beginning of her adventure at the Galactic Academy, and she was determined to make the most of every moment. Little did she know that her presence would soon catalyze events that would change not just the Academy, but the entire galactic community's perception of humanity. The gravity of the situation. Zara's first week at the Galactic Academy flew by in a whirlwind of new experiences, each day bringing fresh wonders and challenges. She quickly learned to navigate the Academy's shape-shifting corridors, which reconfigured themselves to accommodate the varying needs of the diverse student body. Her classes were a mix of mind-bending concepts and familiar principles seen through an alien lens. It was in her comparative xenobiology class that Zara first realized just how unique humans were in the grand scheme of the universe. Professor Zilks, a gelatinous being with multiple nuclei floating in its transparent body, was particularly fascinated by human physiology. Class observed the density of Zara's musculature. Zilks burbled, a tendril of its body projecting a holographic image of human muscle fibers. Evolved in a high-gravity environment, humans possess remarkable strength relative to their size. Zara felt her cheeks flush as the entire class turned to stare at her. A chorus of murmurs rippled through the room, some sounding impressed, others skeptical. "But Professor," chirped Lur, an avian student with iridescent feathers, "surely that means humans are slow and clumsy in standard gravity environments." Before Zilks could respond, Zara found herself speaking up. "Actually, that's not necessarily true. Our bodies adapt pretty quickly to different gravity conditions. In fact, I've been finding it easier to move around each day I'm here." Professor Zilks' nuclei pulsed with excitement. "Fascinating. Zara, would you be willing to demonstrate your physical capabilities for the class?" Somewhat reluctantly, Zara agreed. She soon found herself in the Academy's adaptive gymnasium, surrounded by curious alien students and faculty. The room could simulate various gravitational conditions, and Zilks had set it to match Earth's gravity. "Now, Zara," Zilks instructed, "please perform a series of physical tasks. Start with a simple jump." Zara took a deep breath, bent her knees, and leaped. To her surprise, she soared much higher than she'd intended, nearly touching the high ceiling before coming back down. The alien observers gasped and chittered in amazement. "Incredible," Zilks exclaimed. "Now let's gradually reduce the gravity to standard galactic levels." As the artificial gravity decreased, Zara found herself able to perform feats that would have been impossible on Earth. She could leap incredible distances, lift objects many times her own weight, and move with a speed and agility that left her alien classmates in awe. Word of Zara's physical prowess spread quickly through the Academy. Soon, she found herself being approached by various sports teams, each eager to recruit the surprising human to their ranks. It was Grokthar, her heavy worlder roommate, who finally convinced her to join the Gravitball team. "You've got the strength and the adaptability," Grokthar rumbled. "We could use someone like you." Gravitball, as Zara soon learned, was a three-dimensional sport played in a spherical arena with varying gravity zones. It combined elements of soccer, basketball, and what she could only describe as aerial acrobatics. The objective was to maneuver a pulsating energy sphere through a series of goals while avoiding the opposing team and the ever-changing gravitational fields. Her first practice session was a disaster. Zara fumbled the ball, collided with teammates, and found herself disoriented by the rapidly shifting gravity. But as the weeks went by, she began to improve. Her human adaptability allowed her to quickly adjust to the changing conditions, and her earthborn strength gave her an edge in the high-gravity zones. It was during a crucial match against their rivals from the Centauri Institute that Zara's true potential shone through. The score was tied, with only seconds left on the chrono display. Zara had the ball, navigating through a particularly tricky series of gravity wells. Two Centauri defenders, each with 4 arms and prehensile tails, closed in on her. Time seemed to slow down. Zara's mind raced, calculating angles and trajectories in a way that felt instinctual. She twisted her body in a way that would have been impossible in Earth's gravity, using the momentum from a sudden gravity shift to launch herself past the defenders. With a powerful kick, she sent the energy sphere hurtling through the final goal just as the signal sounded. The arena erupted in a cacophony of alien cheers. Zara found herself at the bottom of a pile of jubilant teammates, their various appendages patting her on the back in gestures of congratulation. As the team celebrated their victory, Professor Salith approached Zara, the alien's skin shimmering with excited colors. "Remarkable performance, Zara. Your ability to adapt to changing gravitational conditions is truly impressive. I wonder, would you be interested in assisting with a research project in our engineering department?" Intrigued, Zara agreed to meet with the engineering faculty the next day. She arrived at the department to find a scene of barely contained chaos. Holographic displays flickered with complex equations and schematics, while various alien scientists argued in a mix of languages that her translator struggled to keep up with. Professor Salith introduced her to the lead researcher, Dr. Quix, a multi-limbed being with a crystalline exoskeleton. "Ah, the human." Dr. Quix's voice resonated from within its crystal body. "We're working on a revolutionary propulsion system, but we've hit a snag. Our simulations keep failing when we try to account for gravitational differentials in extreme conditions." Zara listened intently as Dr. Quix explained the problem. The proposed engine would allow ships to navigate through areas of space with intense gravitational fluctuations, potentially opening up new trade routes and areas of exploration. However, the team couldn't figure out how to stabilize the drive core under such conditions. As she looked at the simulations, something clicked in Zara's mind. "What if," she began hesitantly, "you approach it like a gravitball player? Instead of trying to counteract the gravitational changes, why not use them to your advantage?" The room fell silent as Zara began to explain her idea. She described how, in gravitball, players learn to anticipate and utilize gravity shifts to gain momentum. Perhaps the drive core could be designed to do something similar, using the gravitational fluctuations to boost its power rather than fighting against them. Dr. Quix's crystal body vibrated with excitement. "Of course. We've been so focused on stability, we never considered using the instability as a feature rather than a bug. Quickly, let's model this." The next few hours were a blur of calculations and simulations. Zara found herself working alongside some of the brightest minds in the galaxy, her unique human perspective providing insights that had eluded the alien scientists. By the end of the day, they had a working prototype design that showed immense promise. As Zara left the engineering department, exhausted but exhilarated, she overheard Dr. Quix speaking to Professor Salith. "Remarkable," the crystalline being was saying. "If this pans out, it could revolutionize interstellar travel. And to think, the solution came from a game and a human's intuition." Salith's skin rippled with what Zara had come to recognize as pride. "Indeed, I believe we may have underestimated the potential contributions of humanity to galactic science." Zara couldn't help but smile as she made her way back to her dorm. In just a few short weeks, she'd gone from feeling like an out-of-place curiosity to making a real impact. As she entered her room, she found Grokthar and Aether waiting for her. "We heard about your breakthrough in engineering," Aether whispered, its misty form swirling with excitement. "The whole academy is buzzing about it." Grokthar nodded, its armored scales clinking softly. "You've brought honor to our room, human. Perhaps there's more to your species than we initially thought." As Zara settled in for the night, her mind raced with the possibilities that lay ahead. She'd come to the Galactic Academy to learn, but it seemed she had just as much to teach. Little did she know, her adventures were only beginning, and the true test of her human ingenuity was yet to come. Unseen potential. As Zara's first semester at the Galactic Academy progressed, she found herself settling into a rhythm. Her days were filled with classes that challenged her understanding of the universe, gravitball practice that pushed her physical limits, and evenings spent in animated discussions with her alien roommates. She was even making strides in the engineering department, her unique human perspective continuing to provide valuable insights. It was during one of these late-night study sessions in the Academy's vast library that Zara first noticed something odd. She was poring over a holographic textbook on quantum entanglement when a flicker of movement caught her eye. At first, she dismissed it as fatigue, but as she focused, she realized she could see a faint outline moving between the towering shelves of data crystals. Curiosity piqued. Zara set aside her studies and quietly followed the barely visible shape. As she moved deeper into the library's restricted section, the air seemed to thicken with tension. The outline she was tracking became clearer. It appeared to be a humanoid figure, but unlike any alien species she'd encountered at the Academy. Suddenly, the figure stopped and turned. For a moment, Zara found herself staring into what seemed to be eyes, though she couldn't make out any distinct features. Then, without warning, the shape vanished completely. Heart pounding, Zara rushed back to her dorm. She burst into the room, startling Grokthar, who was in the middle of a strength training routine. "Guys, you won't believe what I just saw," Zara explained, quickly recounting her experience in the library. Ava's misty form coalesced more tightly, a sign of concern. "That's troubling. The restricted section contains sensitive information about various species and technologies. If someone unauthorized is accessing it." Grokthar's eyes narrowed. "But how did you see this intruder? You said they were using some kind of cloaking technology." Zara shrugged, still trying to process what had happened. "I don't know. It was like I could see a faint outline, but only when I wasn't looking directly at it." "Fascinating," Ava whispered. "Humans must have some visual capability that our cloaking technology doesn't account for. This could be significant." The three roommates agreed to keep Zara's discovery quiet for now, not wanting to raise alarms without more evidence. But over the next few weeks, Zara found herself paying closer attention to her surroundings. She began to notice more instances of these nearly invisible figures moving through the academy, in the laboratories, near the administrative offices, even around the power core. It was after a particularly grueling gravit ball match that things came to a head. Zara was heading back to the locker rooms when she spotted one of the cloaked figures slipping into a restricted area near the academy's main power generator. Without thinking, she followed. The corridor she entered was dimly lit, humming with the energy of the massive generator beyond. Zara crept forward, her eyes straining to track the faint outline she'd seen. Suddenly, she heard voices, whispered, urgent tones that her translator couldn't quite pick up. As she edged closer, she began to make out words. Timeline accelerated, defense systems vulnerable. A chill ran down Zara's spine. This was no mere case of espionage. It sounded like the prelude to an attack. Just then, her foot caught on an uneven panel, causing her to stumble. The voices immediately ceased. Zara held her breath, pressing herself against the wall. For a long moment, silence reigned. Then, without warning, an invisible force slammed into her, pinning her against the wall. "What do we have here?" A voice hissed, seemingly from thin air. "A nosy little primate who can see through our cloaks." Zara struggled, her earthborn strength allowing her to push back against her unseen assailant. "Who are you? What are you planning?" A harsh laugh was the only response. Zara felt something cold press against her temple, some kind of weapon, she realized with growing panic. In that moment of fear, something unexpected happened. Zara's vision seemed to sharpen, the outlines of her attackers becoming clearer. She could now make out distinct shapes, tall, life figures with elongated limbs and large, insectoid eyes. Using this newfound clarity to her advantage, Zara twisted suddenly, breaking free from her captor's grip. She lashed out, her fist connecting solidly with what felt like a face. There was a cry of pain and surprise, and suddenly the air shimmered as one of the figures partially decloaked. Seizing the moment of confusion, Zara bolted, her enhanced human speed giving her an edge. She raced through the corridors, the sound of pursuit close behind. Her mind raced, she needed help, needed to warn someone. As if in answer to her thoughts, she rounded a corner and collided with Professor Xylith. The octopoid alien's tentacles instinctively wrapped around Zara to steady her. "Zara, what's wrong?" Xylith asked, its skin rippling with concern. Breathlessly, Zara explained what she'd seen and heard. As she spoke, Xylith's colors shifted rapidly: shock, concern, and finally, grim determination. "We need to alert security immediately," Xylith said, already manipulating a communication device with one of its tentacles. "Zara, your ability to see through their cloaking technology could be crucial. Are you willing to help us deal with this threat?" Zara nodded without hesitation. "Of course, this is my home now too." What followed was a whirlwind of activity. The academy was quietly locked down, with security forces mobilizing under the guise of a surprise drill. Zara found herself working alongside the academy's top scientists and security personnel, using her unique visual ability to help track and identify the cloaked intruders. As they worked, more details of the plot came to light. The intruders were members of a fringe group opposed to the recent inclusion of primitive species like humans in the Galactic Confederation. They had planned to sabotage the Academy's defenses and blame it on human incompetence, hoping to sow distrust and reverse the decision to admit Earth to the galactic community. With Zara's help, the security teams were able to corner and apprehend the saboteurs. As the last of them was led away, Professor Xylith approached Zara, its skin shimmering with a mix of relief and pride. "You've done a great service to the Academy today, Zara," Xylith said. "Your unique abilities and quick thinking have saved countless lives." Zara felt a surge of pride, tinged with a hint of worry. "Thank you, Professor. But what happens now? Will this incident cause problems for future human students?" Xylith's tentacles waved in a gesture Zara had come to recognize as reassurance. "On the contrary, I believe this will open many eyes to the potential of your species. Your ability to perceive beyond our most advanced cloaking technology is remarkable. It suggests that humans may have other hidden talents we've yet to discover." As the excitement of the day began to fade, Zara found herself back in her dorm room, recounting the events to her wide-eyed roommates. Grokfar listened with growing respect, while Ether's misty form swirled with excitement. "You know," Ether said thoughtfully, "this reminds me of something I once read about in xenobiology. Some species develop unique sensory abilities as a result of their evolutionary history. Perhaps humans evolved this visual acuity as a defense against predators on your homeworld." Zara considered this. "Maybe. Earth does have a lot of camouflaged animals. I never thought it might give us an edge in space." As the three friends continued to discuss the implications of the day's events, Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn about the universe, but it seemed the universe had much to learn from humanity as well. Little did she know, her actions that day would set in motion a chain of events that would reshape galactic politics and humanity's place in the cosmic order. The true test of human ingenuity and adaptability was yet to come, and Zara would find herself at the heart of it all. The human factor. In the wake of the foiled sabotage attempt, the Galactic Academy was abuzz with activity. News of Zara's role in uncovering the plot had spread quickly, turning her into something of a campus celebrity. But for Zara, the excitement was tempered by a growing sense of responsibility. The Academy's administration had called an emergency meeting to discuss the implications of recent events. Zara found herself seated in a vast amphitheater alongside representatives from various alien species, many of whom regarded her with newfound curiosity. Chancellor Vox, a towering being of pure energy contained within a humanoid force field, addressed the assembly. "Recent events have brought to light both a grave threat and an unexpected opportunity. The attempt to discredit humanity's place in our galactic community has instead highlighted their unique potential." Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Vox continued. "However, this incident has also exposed vulnerabilities in our security systems. We must adapt, and quickly. To that end, We are forming a special task force to develop new defense strategies, and we would like Zara Chen to be a part of it." Zara felt a mix of pride and trepidation as all eyes turned to her. She stood, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "I'm honored by the offer, Chancellor, but I'm just a student. Surely there are more qualified individuals." Professor Xylet's voice rang out from nearby. "Your unique perceptual abilities and adaptability make you invaluable, Zara. Sometimes, fresh perspectives are exactly what we need." And so, Zara found herself diving into a world of advanced xenotechnology and galactic defense strategies. Her days became a blur of classes, gravitball practice, and long hours in the lab, working alongside some of the brightest minds in the galaxy. One afternoon, as Zara was poring over schematics for a new type of sensor array, she had a sudden realization. "Wait a minute," she said, turning to Dr. Quix, who was busy manipulating a holographic model. "What if we're approaching this all wrong?" The crystalline being's facets glittered with interest. "How so?" Zara gestured at the complex designs surrounding them. "We're trying to create technology to mimic human perception, but what if instead, we try to understand why humans can see through the cloaking fields in the first place? If we could identify the specific wavelengths or energy patterns that we're sensitive to, maybe we could develop something that enhances that ability for other species." Dr. Quix vibrated with excitement. "Brilliant. A biomimetic approach rather than a purely technological one. Zara, your species' lateral thinking never ceases to amaze me." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of experiments and prototypes. Zara found herself undergoing a battery of tests to analyze her visual capabilities, all while helping to design and refine new sensor technologies. The work was exhausting but exhilarating. However, as the team made progress, a new problem emerged. Reports began filtering in of strange anomalies appearing throughout the academy, flickering shadows, unexplained energy fluctuations, and brief glimpses of impossible geometries. Zara was in the middle of a late-night study session with Grokthar and Aether when the first major incident occurred. The lights in their dorm room suddenly dimmed, and a chill swept through the air. Aether's misty form contracted in alarm. "Something's wrong," the gaseous being whispered. "I can feel disturbances in the air currents." Before anyone could respond, a shimmering portal opened in the center of the room. Through it, Zara could see glimpses of an alien landscape, twisted spires of impossible architecture beneath a sky of swirling chaos. Grokthar moved with surprising speed for his bulk, positioning himself protectively in front of his roommates. "What in the name of the galactic core is that?" Zara's mind raced, connecting dots from her recent research. I think it's a dimensional rift. Our experiments with enhancing perception must have had unintended consequences." As if in response to her words, tendrils of eldritch energy began to seep through the portal. The room's temperature plummeted, and Zara could hear distant, otherworldly whispers at the edge of her perception. "We need to close it," Zara said, her voice tight with urgency. "Grokthar, get help. Aether, can you use your gaseous form to disrupt the energy flow?" As Grokthar lumbered out of the room, Aether extended tendrils of mist towards the portal. The whispers grew louder, and Zara felt a pull towards the rift. Fighting against it, she grabbed the prototype sensor she'd been working on and began adjusting its settings. "If I can just reverse the polarity," she muttered, fingers flying over the controls. "Maybe we can use the same principles that let us perceive the hidden to seal these breaches." The next few minutes were a desperate struggle. Aether's mist form writhed as it battled against the encroaching otherworldly energies. Zara worked feverishly, her mind drawing on everything she'd learned about xenophysics and dimensional theory. Just as the portal began to widen, threatening to engulf the entire room, Zara's device emitted a pulse of energy. The rift shuddered, its edges wavering. Zara fired another pulse and another. Slowly, agonizingly, the portal began to shrink. With a final, reality-bending shudder, the rift collapsed in on itself and vanished. The room returned to normal, save for a lingering chill and the faint scent of ozone. Zara slumped to the floor, exhausted. Ava's form slowly reconstituted, looking equally drained. That was too close, the gaseous being whispered. Moments later, Grokthar returned with a security team and several senior faculty members. As Zara explained what had happened, she could see the gravity of the situation settling over everyone present. Professor Xyleth's skin had turned a deep, worried blue. This is worse than we feared. Our attempts to enhance our perceptual abilities have weakened the barriers between dimensions. If we don't find a way to stabilize these rifts, the entire Academy, perhaps even this sector of the galaxy, could be at risk. Chancellor Vox's energy form pulsed with concern. We need solutions, and quickly. Zara, your quick thinking saved us this time. We'll need that human ingenuity more than ever in the days to come. As the gravity of the situation sank in, Zara realized that her greatest challenge at the Galactic Academy was just beginning. The fate of not just the school, but potentially the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. And somehow, improbably, a human exchange student from Earth had become a linchpin in the effort to save it all. With determination setting in, Zara stood up, her mind already racing with possible solutions. "All right," she said, looking around at the assembled aliens. "Let's get to work. We've got a universe to save." A new understanding. The days that followed the dimensional rift incident were a blur of frenetic activity. The Galactic Academy had been transformed into a hub of interdimensional crisis management, with Zara at the center of it all. Her dorm room became an impromptu command center, filled with holographic displays, exotic instruments, and a constant stream of avian scientists and administrators. Zara barely slept, her mind constantly churning with ideas and theories. She'd come to the Academy to learn about the universe, but now she found herself trying to save it. The irony wasn't lost on her. "It's the quantum resonance," Zara muttered one night, her eyes bloodshot from staring at energy diagrams. "Our enhanced sensors are creating harmonic frequencies that are weakening the fabric of space-time." Grokthar, who had taken to standing guard by the door, rumbled in confusion. "Can you explain that in terms a warrior can understand?" Ava's misty form swirled thoughtfully. "I believe what Zara means is that our attempts to see the unseen have tickled the universe in a way it doesn't appreciate." Zara nodded, a tired smile crossing her face. "That's actually a pretty good analogy, Ether. And if we're tickling the universe, we need to find a way to soothe it instead." As the team worked tirelessly to develop a solution, more rifts began appearing across the Academy. Strange, otherworldly creatures occasionally slipped through, leading to chaotic chases through the halls. The entire student body was mobilized, with each species contributing their unique abilities to contain the growing crisis. It was during one such incident that Zara had her breakthrough. A particularly large rift had opened in the main auditorium, and a creature that seemed to be made of living shadows was wreaking havoc. As Zara watched her alien classmates trying to corral the being, each using their species-specific abilities, something clicked. "That's it," she exclaimed, turning to Professor Xyleth, who was coordinating the containment effort. "We've been going about this all wrong. We don't need to create a single solution. We need to combine our diverse abilities." Felith's skin rippled with interest. "Go on, Zara, what are you proposing?" Over the next few hours, Zara outlined her plan. Instead of trying to develop a one-size-fits-all approach to sealing the rifts, they would create a synergistic system that combined the unique perceptual and manipulative abilities of various species. Human visual acuity would work in tandem with Atha's gaseous sensitivity, Grokthar's gravitational attunement, and dozens of other species-specific traits. "It's like a galactic immune system," Zara explained to the hastily assembled council. "Each species contributes a piece of the puzzle, creating a defense network greater than the sum of its parts." Chancellor Vox's energy form pulsed with approval. "This is precisely why we welcomed humanity into the Galactic Confederation. Your ability to think outside conventional paradigms is remarkable." The next few days were a flurry of activity as Zara's plan was put into action. Teams of students and faculty worked around the clock, combining technologies and biological capabilities in ways never before attempted. Zara found herself at the heart of it all, coordinating efforts and bridging communication gaps between wildly different species. Finally, as yet another rift began to form in the Academy's central plaza, they were ready to test their creation. Zara stood at the control panel of what looked like a bizarre mix of organic technology and crystalline structures. "All right, everyone," she called out, her voice carrying across the assembled crowd of aliens. "Remember your training. Each of you is a crucial part of this. Together, we can do this." As the rift began to widen, Zara activated the system. Immediately, the air was filled with a cacophony of energies: visible light, ultrasonics, gravitational waves, and forms of radiation she couldn't even name. Each species present contributed their unique sensory input, feeding data into the central core. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The rift continued to grow, eldritch energies seeping into their reality. Zara felt her heart sink. Had they failed? But then, slowly at first and then with gathering speed, the edges of the rift began to stabilize. The swirling chaos beyond seemed to recede, like a tide going out. With a final silent flash, the rift sealed itself, leaving behind nothing but a faint shimmer in the air. A cheer went up from the assembled crowd, a cacophony of alien voices united in triumph. Zara found herself swept up in a multi-limbed group hug, Grokvar's scaly arms and Aether's misty tendrils enveloping her. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The rift continued to grow, eldritch energies seeping into their reality. Zara felt her heart sink. Had they failed? But then, slowly at first and then with gathering speed, the edges of the rift began to stabilize. The swirling chaos beyond seemed to recede, like a tide going out. With a final silent flash, the rift sealed itself, leaving behind nothing but a faint shimmer in the air. A cheer went up from the assembled crowd, a cacophony of alien voices united in triumph. Zara found herself swept up in a multi-limbed group hug, Grokvar's scaly arms and Aether's misty tendrils enveloping her.